How's it going, you all?
And welcome to Ebros. This week, we are moving away from Star Wars and The Mandalorian into DC Extended Universe to talk about Wonder Woman 1984.
Wonder Woman premiered on December 15th via DC FanDome platform and now is available on HBO Max.
We will have a full breakdown of the movie in this video.
You probably figured out by now that there will be major spoilers in this video, so watch the movie first.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel and like the video if you enjoyed.
All the comments you drop will be replied to as well.
So, without further ado, let's start with the story.
The beginning of the story is showing us Diana's childhood in Themyscira. She's a little girl competing with other women in what looks like the Themysciran version of the Greek Olympics. She is incredibly skilled and better at what she's doing compared to the other Amazons, but she is also too young and cannot keep her performance up throughout the competition. She finds alternative ways to win the race, but she cheats while doing it. Diana wants to achieve more and is willing to do anything in return. Her aunt, Antiope, lectures her about the importance of being truthful and that she cannot cheat her way to victory.
No true hero is born from lies.
Obviously, this lesson is a valuable one as Wonder Woman will use this to save the world at the end of the movie.
We felt the beginning was a bit forced into the movie. We do not see Themyscira at all in the movie other than the beginning, and we think the writers, director, whatever, wanted to have Themyscira and the Amazons involved. The scenes were unique, and it was interesting to see the different parts of Themyscira and tradition of Amazon, but it felt a little unnecessary.
Then we move on to the year the movie takes place, 1984. 1984's significance comes from an old DC comic called Wonder Woman 1984, which highlights Eros' revenge on Diana by disguising as Steve Trevor.
There's a group of robbers looking to steal some ancient artifacts in a mall, but Wonder Woman intervenes and stops the robbers. The artifacts are sent to the Smithsonian, where Diana works, for examination to Barbara Minerva. The most underrated, but also the most important artifact in that group is the Wonderstone.
Even Diana doesn't know what the stone is when she sees it, so we know it doesn't have much significance up to that point in history, at least no known significance. Only Maxwell Lord seems interested in the stone. We will find out later that he hired the robbers to get his hands on the stone as well.
We will get into more details about the stone, but there is one thing that is curious to us. Diana has had the last name Prince since the 1910s and also will continue to use it in the 2020s. She definitely keeps her secret identity and she does not age. She should be moving in every decade or so and leave no trail behind to not be noticed. And even then someone close to her should figure it out.
We have an alibi though. There's a character called Vandal Savage in DC and we are familiar with him from DCAU. He became immortal after his exposure to a meteor in 23,000 BC. He was hiding his secret identity by saying he was the son of the previous Vandal Savage.
Vandal Savage is a Nazi war criminal. He was...
My grandfather,
What?
Vandal Savage III. A pleasure to meet you.
Basically, after 40-odd-so years, he moves on to the next generation.
It is still easy to figure out, but DC usually doesn't really care about this sort of secrecy. Superman's glass disguise has been something that has been mocked, but it does not bother the creators so much.
We meet the antagonist Maxwell Lord in the beginning by a TV commercial. He is trying to reach out to as many people as he can from the start. His words are about wanting more, which we can link to greed. When the commercial is on, the actions of the people we see represent the 7 deadly sins.
Maxwell Lord's drive is one of the things that felt real to us. He is a person who wanted to have power and influence. From the outside, this is definitely the case, but from the inside, his company is a mess. He has nothing to show to his son, which is the main reason why he wants to be successful. He wants his son to be proud of him. He cannot find a way to be successful, and that is why he needs the Wonderstone. He wants the easy way to victory, just like Diana did when she was a little girl.
Now let's talk about the stone.
The Dreamstone is made from a worthless stone, citrine, but it has special properties. It was created by the god of treachery and mischief, Loki. Just kidding.
His name is Talos. The stone has the power to grant any wish as long as the person is touching the stone, which does not have to be a physical touch. But it is only once per person. What would your one wish be?
Nothing after this movie.
Well, the characters in this movie did not see the movie before it came out, so they had some selfish requests.
Barbara, envious of Diana, wanted to be exactly like her.
Maxwell Lord wanted to be the stone,
And Diana wanted her love to come back, which is how Steve Trevor came back to life.
It almost feels like Steve and Diana never had a 7-year break since they last saw each other. Their connection is as strong as ever.
In the first movie, Steve introduced Diana to the real world for the first time. And now, in the second movie, Diana is doing the same for Steve.
Well, not exactly the same, as Steve is coming back only to his future, so it is a bit more familiar for him. Steve's reaction to the world around him is amazing. We love seeing him adapt to the world and be amazed by it at the same time.
The scene where Steve explained how he flies a plane was incredible. He says that he joins with the sky.
At this point, I literally said it would have been very cool if this is how Diana learned to fly.
But we thought it was impossible as she did not know how to fly in the future. In this scene, there is an invisible jet reference, which is Wonder Woman's iconic jet.
Diana and Steve are on their way to stop Maxwell Lord, who is on his way to dominating the world. They're getting help from Barbara. At this point, she is still an ally. The trio goes to a person who claims to have great knowledge about the Dreamstone. We are quite disappointed for having the help from a guy called Babajide, who is not linked with the greater DC universe. There is clearly some magic involved with the stone, and magic is a key element in the DC universe. Dr. Fate is the most famous magician, and he could have been the character to help Diana, or at least a magician like him.
Also, Thanagarians like Hawkgirl and Hawkman are also familiar with magic, and the metal they use in their weapons, Nith metal, is powerful enough to break through magic. It would have been great to see someone like them help Diana out.
Nonetheless, Babajide helps them realize the stone was created by the gods and it's linked with lies. The stone grants people's wishes, but it takes away their most valuable asset without telling, which is the part that is connected with lies. There's a reference to Monkey's Paw by Steve Trevor here, which is a supernatural short story. The person has 3 wishes, but it has 3 enormous consequences.
The stone traces back thousands of years and it destroys civilizations due to these consequences. The stone also took away Max Lord's son, Barbara's kindness and humanity, and Diana's powers. The only way to stop it is to renounce the wish or destroy the stone, which will renounce the wishes automatically. Of course, due to people's greed, no one renounces their wishes. Barbara parts ways with Diana because she fears she might lose her powers.
Maxwell Lord is granting more and more wishes and gains more power than he can handle, which leads the world into chaos. Steve makes Diana realize she needs to give him up to save the world. He hasn't changed a bit since the last time we saw him. He's still a hero and sacrifices himself for the greater good.
Diana is the first person to renounce her wish, thanks to Steve and the valuable lessons she got from her aunt. She gets back to full strength and even learns to fly after remembering what Steve told her. As we have mentioned before, the lack of connection to the greater DC universe is shocking. We don't know why she did not use her flight abilities in the Dawn of Justice or the Justice League.
On her way to stop Max Lord, Diana has to fight with her old friend Barbara, aka Cheetah. Cheetah is blinded by greed like the rest of humanity and doesn't want to give up her powers, so she cannot allow Diana to stop Lord.
The fight scene is very dark, probably because the director wanted to hide Cheetah's bad CGI. We know DC struggles when it comes to CGI. However, the dark takes away the effect of Wonder Woman's new costume. The story of the new costume felt very unnecessary in the first place. We think being truthful to herself and accept Steve's death should have been enough to save the world.
The story of the costume and the Amazon hero came out of nowhere, and the costume did not seem powerful at all. The reason to add it into the story was probably to honor Linda Carter, Diana Prince of the 70s Wonder Woman series. She plays Asteria, the original owner of the costume, in the end credit scene. We think it is a nice touch to add her to the movie, but we don't like her to be forced into the story.
The scene with Maxwell Lord in the end was incredible. High soundtrack quality is a must-have, and we loved the addition of the song Beautiful Lie. The name of the song is accurate with the movie, but more importantly, it is the same song used in Bruce's parents' death and the cringe Martha scene.
There was no battle between Lord and Wonder Woman which we liked. Wonder Woman's pure heart and kind words were enough to stop Maxwell Lord to see the truth and save humanity. There are two important lessons to learn from what she said. One is that we should not be greedy and be grateful for what we have. Two, there is no easy way to success and we cannot cheat our way to the top. It is crucial to understand there is no pure evil and pure good inside people. There is evil in good and good in evil. Diana was able to attract the good in everyone.
We connected with Maxwell Lorenzano's past in this scene. He was an immigrant and had a hard time adapting to life in the US. He was discriminated against and bullied by his peers at school. His life at home wasn't easy either. His dad was cruel and beat his mother. Also, he gave Max a hard time for wetting his bed. We saw that he was only a man who wanted to be successful in the world and started his life with good intentions.
It was touching to see him leave everything behind for his son. All the power in the world did not mean anything to him without a son. This shows Pedro Pascal is always a great father. No, this really shows that the stone takes away more than it gives. Be careful what you wish for. You might be sacrificing more than you can handle.
Diana's speech and the Christmassy ending was definitely cheesy, but it suits the character Wonder Woman. She is not a regular human after all and has a softer heart.
So, what do we think about the movie? Let's start with the positives. We loved Wonder Woman 1, and this was a nice sequel. DC is having a hard time making good movies, and it is surprising to see them continue having a decent sequel without messing things up. There is still a possibility for completing a trilogy.
What we loved the most about the movie was the characters. We can match Gal Gadot with Wonder Woman. DCAU Wonder Woman is perfect and she will always be the best, but we think Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman is the perfect way to create her in real life.
In the first movie, she was introduced to man's world for the first time and she was shocked with what she saw, which caused her to repeat herself most of the time and could not really understand everything going on. It was all fine as she was experiencing something new, but she has been living with humans for more than half a century now and she has adapted quite well.
Her connection with Chris Pine was even better than the first movie. They were an established couple after the first movie.
Chris Pine continued with his brilliant performance as Steve Trevor. His connection with Diana, as we mentioned, was perfect. Also, his reaction to the future was absolutely brilliant. There is a difference between Diana's reaction to the world because she has never seen it before, but Steve is seeing the future of what he had already knew. The acting difference between Gal Gadot's Diana on Wonder Woman 1 and Chris Pine's Steve Trevor on Wonder Woman 1984 is very realistic, which makes this quick adaptation believable. Chris Pine was perfect again.
This duo was already our favorite from Wonder Woman 1, but the villain in the first movie was not as good as Maxwell Lord.
We loved Pedro Pascal's Maxwell Lord. We think he was as good as, if not better than Gal Gadot and Chris Pine. He starts the movie as a real-life actor. He looks like this massive businessman that lives a glamorous life, but in reality his company is near bankruptcy. The transitions Pedro Pascal make between the two sides of the character makes Lord all the more realistic.
We have a soft spot for him as he plays the Mandalorian and is saving Star Wars. But we think we are fair to say he played Lord perfectly and his character was a real villain with a realistic drive. He was our favorite character in the movie.
Kristen Wiig as Barbara Minerva/Cheetah was also quite good. Her character was one that goes through changes. We felt her character was also a little forced into making an action sequence with Wonder Woman, but that doesn't take away from Wiig's performance.
Compared to Wonder Woman 1, we enjoyed characters and the confrontation with the villain more.
Now let's talk about the negatives of the movie. The obvious one to talk about is the special effects. We are taking aside Themyscira, which we loved, but the fighting scenes, especially the one between Wonder Woman and Cheetah at the end, was quite bad.
Also, the shots in the movie were not interesting. The colors were not used well. For example, the fireworks scene could have been so much better. We mentioned how much we enjoyed Chris Pine's reaction to the world he is in. If the shots were better, we would have appreciated even more.
One of the best parts of Wonder Woman 1 was we felt like we were in the 1910s inside a war. Especially when we left Themyscira and traveled to London, we actually felt terrible for the world. It was a great war movie. In Wonder Woman 1984, even though the 80s feeling was given especially with the clothing and such, we did not feel like we were living in the Cold War era. The tension between the US and the USSR was not felt even though it should have been there. That was a massive negative for us. If we actually felt that tension, the chaos in the end would have been so much more realistic.
There was a lot of things unexplained and unconnected. We have mentioned scenes in Themyscira, and the story of the old Amazon hero did not feel like a part of the movie. We did not get a good explanation about the stone's past and the origins of the stone. Also, it was confusing to understand the negative effects of the stone at first. We also did not get to know why Max Lord is having physical problems after granting wishes. We had to guess the power of the stone is too much for him.
We would like to move on to the place of this movie in the DCEU as a whole. First of all, we had a massive world event that could have ended life on Earth, but we do not have any effects of this movie in the Justice League or the Dawn of Justice. It feels like they did not really think about the other movies when they were writing Wonder Woman 1984. This makes us feel like the future of the franchise is a mystery, not only to us, but for them as well.
DCEU is a mess. We think the biggest error they made is not planning and being impatient.
We had a Batman v Superman film without being properly introduced to Batman, which portrayed him as an absolute idiot.
We were introduced to more than half of the Justice League in the Justice League movie, without a movie for their own.
Man of Steel was probably the most successful movie other than Wonder Woman, but Henry Cavill, Superman, is not even playing the character anymore.
We don't even want to talk about the Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey.
We're glad DC is doing an alright job having a decent character like Wonder Woman. We think DCU cannot recover from this mess, but if they actually do, it will probably be because of Wonder Woman.
We will be giving points out of 10 to every movie that we review on our channel.
Our B-Bros rating for Wonder Woman 1984 is 5.5.
We think it is fair as it has more flaws than its good sides, but we enjoyed it overall.
However, we must say Diana deserved better.
This is our full breakdown of Wonder Woman 1984.
We might have missed some things, so feel free to share whatever you want in the comment section down below.
Next week, we will continue with more DC content.
This time, it will be about the Caped Crusader,
Batman.
so stay tuned for that.
In the meantime, you can check out our other content on the channel, which is all Star Wars for now.
Thank you for watching, we hope you enjoyed it, and for now,
B-Bros out.